Fellow superstars, cling desperately to the charred fragments of your former successes. Try not to appear your age, and stare numbly into the yawning void of anonymity.
Because it's time to talk Tull to me. I am Nick McGill.
I am Omen Said.
We are Feckless Momes.
And this is Talk Tull to Me, a stagecoach tour around the Orpheum circuit of prog rock, where Nick and I, both tired, washed-up vaudevillians, pedal our classic Tull act around the country to dwindling audiences. Every jitterbug an album, every tumbling trick a song, we work our way through our dusty old repertoire, hoping to one day hear from our agent, Ian Anderson. Is that too depressing? So, Nick.
Yes, Omen. How are you doing today?
Good. It's warm here in New York City.
Mm-hmm.
And it's warm in my heart because I am really into the song that we are going to talk about today. But before we do that, Nick, do we have any business?
We have no business at all, Omen. No business. Do we have any factoids, any errata to cover?
I have some errata, yes.
Erotic errata?
I don't know how erotic it is, but
screen name.
It is a fun fact, Nick.
Okay, fun fact to me.
So, Nick, we have talked a lot about Dee Palmer and her glorious strings.
Mm-hmm.
Nick, I have discovered a fact about the strings on this album that I think will be of interest both to you and to our listeners.
Go on.
Dee hired a string quartet, put together a string quartet for this album.
Okay.
And specifically chose all female string players.
Hey, in 1974, that is some forward thinking.
Well, and I think that it was an artistic choice because I think, and I feel like this comes through in the music. I think that there's a real change in energy and a real contrast between the super masculine rock and roll, the Hammond, the Barrymore, even the Lancelot, and the Ian Anderson. It's all very masculine.
Yes.
And there's a contrast between the beautiful softness and tenderness of the strings, and I think that that contrast provides it a nice energy.
I think that's a good point, and I have to agree in terms of we don't necessarily know for sure the reasoning behind it, obviously, but like I think that is a good theory that she wanted to have that kind of, I don't want to say juxtaposition per se, but that real distinct change because it makes it all the more potent.
And nuanced, yes.
Yeah. And actually, I believe when Ian goes on tour with a string quartet, his are generally women too. I wonder if he kept with that for that reason.
Maybe.
Yeah. That's cool. That's very cool.
Well, that has run the well dry in terms of factoids.
Actually, you know what? I'm going to insert a factoid here. Since we're
please
since
do.
We're bringing up the song itself now. I've got a factoid about Glory Row, which we're talking about now. It's
okay.
It's just kind of like a minute technical detail here, but Glory Row.
Never talk about minute again.
Before it was issued on the remastered version of War Child.
Ah, yes.
The only time it was heard was it was made available in a Spanish LP edition of Aqualung in 1971, but this version wasn't released until 75. And Aqualung was the A-side. Traditionally, the B-side would have been Locomotive Breath.
Right.
So Glory Row took the place of Locomotive Breath, and apparently the logic behind getting rid of Locomotive Breath was because it was already on the Living in the Past album that came out in 72.
I did read that, Nick, and I found that to be really fascinating.
The to think about the logistics behind when to expose a song, when and even like locationally, that this was a choice made for the Spanish market of a single LP. Like,
I know.
What's the thought process behind that? It's so cool.
I also just imagine, some English Tull fan vacationing on the Costa Blanca in Spain one summer and by chance discovering a Spanish release of Aqualung and having a listen, and then discovering this totally new song which had never been heard in the UK and just freaking out.
Yeah, that's so cool. That's so cool. The way that you could kind of almost randomly be exposed to new Tull content in that era of just finding a new album, a new physical vinyl, as opposed to just doing a Google search and looking on YouTube or iTunes or whatever. Very cool.
I imagine our imagined English person coming back to England after holiday and going to the pub and saying, "Oi, Mickey, you'll never guess what I discovered in Spain. It's a new Tull song." And Mickey going, "Get off it, you're drunk again."
I have a feeling those accents were inspired by your beloved giving you hell about your accents not a half an hour ago.
We'll never know. So, Nick, without further ado, I know you already said it, but just for the official tally, what are we listening to today?
We are going to listen and talk Tull about Glory Row.
Let's have a listen. Well, Nick, there we have it.
Omen, I remember liking this song. I didn't remember how good this song is.
Yeah.
Holy
Did you like this song from
cow.
the first time that you heard it?
Yeah.
Was it an instant hook?
I think so, but I guess maybe I never listened to it on good enough headphones to hear all of the pieces and parts, but holy cow.
I know the construction of it is really, really rich. It's like a tapestry, Nick. It's like a richly woven tapestry.
Yeah.
And you know that that's not a throwaway compliment for me because you know how much I love tapestries.
If anyone appreciates a tapestry, it is Omen Sade.
I love a good tapestry.
I mean, I've been saying that for years.
Yeah. No joke. I genuinely love tapestries. I had the pleasure of seeing Le Dame et le Licorne series in Paris at the Musée de la Moyen Âge, and some dank-ass tapestries, I tell you what.
Are you making up words now? Is that what?
No, those are real French things. That's the lady in the unicorn.
Le Musée de Fromage, the tapestry.
Yes, Nick. Yeah. The French Museum of Cheese is where they keep the tapestries.
What do you think they wrap the cheeses in, Omen?
That's why they taste so good.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's talk musically, Nick.
Yeah, that I've got more to talk musically than lyrically, I think. I mean, I know there's a lot to unpack, but God, the music in this.
Let's start with some basics. It is mercifully in 4/4 time.
Thank goodness.
But they do a little Tull trip me up, which is that they put the emphasis often on the pickup to the one. So it feels like the phrases are swung a little bit, even though they are in 4/4.
Mm-hmm.
I think those are all real things that I just said, but
I believe you.
It has a groovability. It kind of makes you want to move your hips a little bit.
Yeah, it's not to the extent where it makes you unsettled or throws you off.
No, it's a groove.
Yeah.
You can groove with it.
Yeah. For some reason, I did not remember the awesome acoustic in the beginning of the song.
Yeah, it's really awesome.
All I really remembered was the sax part, the really funky little sax part that kind of lives throughout this song. It kind of reappears. But that acoustic is really nice.
Let's talk about the acoustic.
Yeah?
I do want to circle back to the sax because it's wonderful.
Oh, yeah, we can definitely get back to that. It'll be here.
I love the construction of the guitar and the acoustic, how it's set up. It comes in with that first, just so skillful Ian acoustic, and then it layers on another acoustic guitar, which could be Ian on a different track, or could be Martin playing the acoustic, because we don't hear any electric on this song.
Yes, we do later. After this intro, I hear some electric, I think.
I was incorrect.
There's like a slide action going on.
Oh, yes, yes.
Would you be the star of ages, the light your own way at night?
And then we have the bass dropping in.
Really good bass. It's
really exciting.
Every time we get the opportunity to hear Jeffrey Hammond's bass a little more in the forefront, I'm always pleased by it. Always so good, his bass.
It's delightful.
Yeah.
It's delightful.
Rise up all you fine young ladies and take arms for the show.
And then we have the first verse, and then...
Oh, there's some fun cowbell in there, too.
Oh, yes, let's talk about the cowbell.
Just really quick, Barrymore gets a little cowbell in there. It comes back later on in between, but it's really only maybe 6 or 8 hits, and then it jumps into the lyrics, and it stops for that. But it's in there. It's in there. It's fun.
Guess what? I got a fever. And the only prescription is more cowbell.
This song is deceptively simple. I mean, it presents as being a simple construction musically, but it is chock full of so many tasty treats musically.
It's super. I mean, the tapestry thing, as tongue-in-cheek as we are sometimes about it, like, it's so interwoven, and there are so many pieces that you can look at it on that greater scale and see this beautiful work of art, but if you get in close
When
enough...
you zoom in, yeah.
Oh man, I love the instrumentation on this song.
So let's talk about some of the fun things. There's the cowbell, like you said.
Cowbell, there's squeeze box, some killer accordion in
There's
this.
some wonderful, wonderful squeeze box.
Yeah.
How did you get to be who you are? Will your children share the blame? Is it really worth the time it takes to carve your name?
The funky sax that comes in and out.
Gloriously funky sax. I love, when I think about this album, like I will sometimes, or just when I think about Tull sometimes, I will just have that sax lick come to my head unbidden and just hang out there for a while.
That one?
Yeah.
I think it's in the second chorus, we have the introduction of the jingle bells.
I was going to talk about the jingle bells. I'm glad you brought that up.
This is another one of those songs where we see the various disparate pieces added on throughout the bulk of the song, and at the end, it's just all of them going ham, and it's so good.
And then in the end, with their powers combined, they transform themselves into a really, really fun flute moment.
Yep, we got flute in there. There's also, did you hear that mandolin in there too? Right after the second chorus?
Dum da da dum.
Yeah, good. Yep, good. What is that? It's
Tremolo.
Tremolo, thank you.
Oh, I should have let you struggle with that. That would have been.
There are no strings in this song.
There are no bowed strings.
Bowed strings, yes, obviously.
There's no D special lady quartet.
Lady quartet, yeah. But at the end, that build up, once we're done with the bulk of the lyrics and we get kind of the bridge of cacophony before it goes into the singing of the verse one more time, kind of a reprise of the chorus rather, that build up and that cacophony of music at the end, you would think that it would be so, Well, it's a lot like the timing that you said, the way the 4/4 is just a little tweaked.
Yeah.
You would think that it would give you that kind of unsettled feeling of everything being too much of a cacophony and a little too disharmonious. But
Right.
it all works. They're all communicating. They're all going to the same destination, albeit just a little different way to get there.
It's so well composed.
Yeah.
It's like there's an earthquake in the pottery shop, and you think that all those beautiful works have been destroyed, but then you hire a mosaics artist who takes all those broken pieces and puts them together into a mosaic more beautiful than any of the smashed pottery could have ever been in a perfected state.
They work so well together, and
Yes.
they have it's I'm going back to tapestry. I think that's perfect. Those separate pieces all together. I really love the instrumentation on this song. I could listen to this a couple of times. I almost suggested we listen to it again one more time. But
I listened to it this morning,
Yeah.
and I'm glad that I did, because you know what it reminds me of, the experience of it, and this is maybe getting a bit more into the theme than musically, but musically, all these disparate parts coming together in this beautifully harmonious way reminds me of walking in New York City pre-COVID, when you just kind of hit that groove and you're walking and like all the lights time out just perfectly, and it's the visual cacophony of advertisements and people and vehicles and shops and dogs and smells of good smells, on the occasion when you're lucky enough, not in the summer. And you just have this kind of beautiful sensation of like, oh yes, everything is just gearing together in this completely unplanned but very beautiful way.
Yeah. And the crowds part just enough for you to get through every single time.
It's a dance. Yeah. Everyone's on the same groove.
Yeah. I think this can be our stepping stone into lyrics, because that theme paired with the slightly lyrical, at least the singing part that I'm going to bring up, in the 2 lines in the second verse. Well, hello, all you gentlemen. And then we hear Ian in the background go, ah. Yeah.
Gentlemen, I fear I'm a lost like you. We're wearing the same school tie, but a different.
A little taste of the Mellotron.
Possibly. Oh, yeah. Yeah, with
Or
the little wheel to tweak the pitch and the tone and everything. Yeah. Yeah.
Even if it's not Mellotron, it's the soul of Mellotron.
Right. Which, can we separate that from Ian at this point? I don't know.
We cannot.
Yeah.
He's
like he wouldn't survive the operation.
He's like Luke Skywalker. He's a human, yes, but he's part machine.
That's right. Just like his dad.
Mellotron, Ian Anderson. No, Ian, I am your father. Mellotron! Mellotron, no!
So who is Mellotron's emperor? Would that be John Evan?
That'd be the boiler fluid factory.
Yes, approved. Mm-hmm. All right, so let's jump into lyrics, unless you have anything else musically or thematically.
No, I think that maybe, musical stuff might come up.
Yeah.
And we will deal with it at that time. But yeah, let's jump into the lyrics.
Well, but let's do an overarching. Does this fit into War Child? In terms of the movie?
Oh, in terms of the film?
Yes. Sound-wise, it does. Yes, I'll give you that. But in terms of that overarching theme, could you see this in the film somewhere?
Could be.
Mm-hmm.
Could be. I would, if I was a cinematographer, I would not be mad about having a fun cityscape sequence that was to the tune of this, or incorporating this into. But I also think that it doesn't need the film for a context. It stands on its own as such a great piece. So,
like Rainbow Blues did.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's.
So I don't know.
Let's get into it. I agree. I could see that it could fit in there sound-wise, and if it fits into the story, great. But again, this is one of those off the bonus tracks where this could just very easily have been, this is one of the songs that we have, we got to drop it in somewhere.
Indeed. So Nick,
Yeah.
Let us dive headfirst into these lyrics. Rise up, all you fine young ladies, and take arms for the show. Oh, we'll put your name up in lights, put you down on Glory Road.
Rise up, all you fine young ladies, and take arms for the show. Oh, we'll put your name up in the lights, put you down on Glory Road.
What world are we in, Nick?
This feels like Broadway. This feels like the theater district, and this is something that you and I spoke about prior to recording, but this feels like either being a tourist or someone going to visit this area in a city that is large enough to warrant a theater district.
Like London.
Like London.
The West End in London or New York in the US. I mean, and of course in England England is blessed with a National Arts Council that actually functions, and so they have a lot of their other cities do have real arts districts, but the sense that I'm getting from this is that this is a London or a New York.
Yeah. But is it spoken in terms of being a tourist to go visit there, or is it getting people onto the stage?
I think this is, hey kid, do you ever want to go into show business?
You want to be in the pictures?
You can be a big star.
Yeah, I think so. Which, now that I think about it,
Finally,
it makes me think that it could possibly be a part of War Child, because this is a temptation coming from the singer. You know, I will give you this. Sell me your soul. I will give you this.
Indeed.
And especially when we get into the second verse as well, to really hammer home that point in terms of the narrator, but we'll get there.
Well, and how many times have musicians met the devil at the crossroads to sell their soul to play the guitar really well?
Yeah, exactly. Clapton, Dylan.
Yeah. I've taken out like mortgages and mortgages on my soul.
Lancelot
Barr. No, Lancelot Barr, I don't think he sold his soul to the devil, Nick.
That's divine, is what that is.
I think that the devil came round to Mr. Lancelot Barr and was like, please give me your soul.
He's like, I don't need
Lancelot
you.
was like, he was like, no, mate. I never listened to the devil because I don't want to be influenced as a guitarist.
Or maybe the devil learned how to play the guitar from Lancelot, and therefore he could go teach other people for their souls.
That's exactly what it was.
Martin Barr actually has the devil's soul. He sold.
That's right. He captured it. He was like, I'm not giving you this shit back for a while. No.
And that's why he feels that emptiness inside. He has to go get other people's souls.
That's right. So Nick, yes, this is the hey kid, do you want to be in show business trope. Mm-hmm. However, this is with a typical Tullness, not the same as some of our other songs that we find out in the world.
Go on.
Well, often when we have this type of song, I'm thinking of the song Fame. Baby, look at me and tell me what you see. You ain't seen the best of me yet. Give me time. I'll make you forget the rest. Remember my name, Fame. I'm gonna live forever. I'm gonna learn how to fly. Hey!
So that...
I feel it coming together. People will see me and cry, Fame.
Baby, look at me and tell me what you see. You ain't seen the best of me yet. Give me time, I'll make you forget the rest. Remember my name, I'm gonna live forever. I'm gonna learn how to fly. I feel it coming together.
So that is told from the point of view of the person attaining the fame as opposed to the person granting the fame.
Exactly. And normally the way that those kind of fame-themed songs go are, yo, I'm so famous, I'm going to be so famous forever.
Yeah.
And very rarely are they, have you ever considered what fame is?
True to Ian, it is a darker look, it is more realistic, it is more nihilistic.
It's definitely more realistic.
Yeah.
They come and they go down on Glory Road.
Yeah.
It's the same old story. Yes, it's the same old show.
Come and they go down on Glory Road. It's the same old story. Yes, it's the same old show.
Yeah, not only have movie stars and vaudeville stars risen and fallen in terms of popularity and skill and talent, etc., but it's also there are no new ideas. We're just repeating the same product as well.
Exactly. And it's the cycle which is the same. We've got a hot young star. You've never seen anything like this before. Here they are. Oh, well, actually, here comes an even hotter, even younger star.
A month and a half later, yeah.
Right. Or, if it's a month and a half later, if it's a decade later,
Sure.
inevitably everyone goes out of style. Everyone's light fades. There's a brilliant film by Charlie Chaplin called Limelight, from the phrase in the limelight, in the public attention, where he plays a washed up clown, essentially, who had been the greatest clown in the world and now is an alcoholic and pretty much living in poverty. And he has kind of a resurgence of his career due to his attachment to a young ballerina. Oh, there's coming back to the ballerina theme, Nick.
There it
You
is.
can never escape the ballerinas.
Yep.
And of course, it all collapses out from under him and he dies at the very end, just when he's had this tiny little resurgence. And it's a very poignant look at the reality of what it is to be a performer.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's a little and as dark as it is when you think about it like this, it's also really refreshing to see people acknowledge that,
Yes.
Because in a sense it's also an instance of, even though he's not outright saying it, it's Ian acknowledging, like, hey, I could be done in a year. Like, I acknowledge this is a result of celebrity kind of thing.
Well, and in the context of having had massive success with Aqualung, massive success with Thick as a Brick, and then getting panned with his previous album, I think there is a sense of, even though that at this time they were still, in terms of a touring act, on the ascendancy in the U.S., I think that whether or not they were aware of their own fame slipping,
There it is.
they were entering a period in which their popularity did decline.
Ooh,
Nick,
omen.
words are hard. And we do have in the second verse, well, hello, all you gentlemen. I fear I'm a lot like you.
Well, hello, all you gentlemen. I fear I'm a lot like you.
Yeah. But before we go any further, I just want to do a little etymology of Limelight, because just because I love etymology is my jam.
There's only one thing that I love more than tapestries.
Is it etymology?
It's etymology.
I didn't know that. I love etymology.
If you could tell me
for days.
the etymology of the word tapestry, I would. Don't do it. Don't you dare.
I will need to change my life and my pants. So limelight, it's a type of stage lighting originally that was used in theaters and music halls. It's an intense illumination that's created by an oxyhydrogen flame that's directed at a cylinder of quicklime, calcium oxide. And they used quicklime because it can be heated up to 4,662 degrees Fahrenheit before melting.
Wow.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yep. And because they used quicklime, the lights were termed as limes. So to be in the limelight is you are in the light that is shown on a stage.
And it's the most intense light, so you're in focus, you're in the spotlight.
Yes, yeah.
And what time period are we talking? When did those lights first start being used?
1826 was the first working version.
Wow.
Yep. Yeah.
So at that time, light would have been pretty limited. I mean, you wouldn't have all the different options for lighting. You would have probably the footlights
Yeah.
and the limelight.
Yeah. Let's see. So 26 was the first working version. Looks like it was first used on an indoor stage in Covent Garden in 1837.
Wow.
Covent Garden,
So
London.
they were pre-electric.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a flame. It was a hot burning flame that passed through the quicklime, which therefore, I don't know if it refracted it, but it amplified it.
I wonder if it phosphoresced or if it heated up to a level where it would start emitting its own light.
Interesting. Yeah. And actually, limelights were also used to highlight solo performers. So there must have been someone directing them as well. That's cool.
I imagine it operated like a spotlight. And so you would probably only be able to afford one of them in the theater, and you would use it to pick out the star. So being in the limelight also metaphorically is you're the star, you've got top billing.
Yes, got it. Yep. Yeah, I think that all checks out for sure.
And do you know what else the limelight does, Nick?
What else does it do? Oh, it burns out?
It fades.
Yeah, it does.
It passes on to someone else.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for that delightful etymology.
My treat.
Let's dive back into the lyrics. Hello, all you gentlemen, I fear I'm a lot like you. We're wearing the same school tie, but a different pair of shoes.
Well, hello, all you gentlemen. I fear I'm a lot like you. We're wearing the same school tie, but a different pair of shoes.
What do you make of that? That little sartorial clothing reference there.
I think everybody has to wear the same uniform. It all comes from the same place. It's all the same design. It's all to match. However, maybe there's an instance where you didn't all have the same shoes. You just had to have a black pair of shoes.
Sure.
So the wealthier people could afford really nice, fancy black shoes, whereas the lower classes had like the bottom of the barrel black dress shoe.
Right.
Yeah. That's my guess.
So is it a comment on origin? Or is it a comment on how far you've come? Is it saying that now you can afford the better shoes? Now you can distinguish yourself by wearing shoes that are more special, even though you're all coming from the same place in terms of the tie.
So the narrator is the one with the less fancy pair of shoes, you're saying?
Well, grammatically, he's saying we're wearing the same school tie, but a different pair of shoes.
Yeah. So, but it could go either way, that the gentlemen have the nicer shoes and he doesn't, or he has the nicer shoes and they don't.
Or a third option is that they have all, as a group, evolved or developed to the point that even though they all came from the same place, they have now distinguished themselves into individuals.
Okay. Yeah.
Like they all came from the same place, but they're walking a different path.
Yeah. Yeah, right. But ultimately, regardless of which of those three it is, if it is any of those, how does that fit in?
I think that he is tying himself. So we have the first verse is about the ladies of Glory Row. Now we're talking about the gentlemen of Glory Row.
Right.
So I think that Ian is saying, I am intrinsically linked to this cycle of fame and obscurity.
Okay.
And, we all walk this path for a different amount of time, but the path is the same and yields the same questions. which he follows then with,
Yeah.
how did you get to be who you are? Will your children share the blame? Is it really worth the time it takes to carve your name on Glory Row?
How did you get to be who you are? Will your children share the blame? Is it really worth the time it takes to carve your name?
And that I find really fascinating because, just looking at Ian's life, and I think he's not a father at this point, but
No, I don't think so.
but he must have encountered other musicians who had children.
Sure.
And it makes me think, Nick, of my days as a young, bright-eyed performer and meeting this incredible actor, one of the best actors I've ever met.
Oh, stop.
Who's in-
Owen, please. You're embarrassing me.
I'm so sorry. The second best
okay.
actor I ever met. And he was in his 40s, maybe late 40s. He had spent his entire life touring.
Mm-hmm.
He was English. He got his start in the local theaters in England, the local paying theaters, and worked his way up from a bit parter to a lead, and then just he started touring in his 20s, and he had just been touring for like 25 years.
Yeah.
He had 2 or 3 different kids in different places.
With different people, obviously.
I think at least some of them were with different women.
Yeah.
And he occasionally would get cards from them. But he didn't see them that much because he was always touring and he was in a different country. And it was just like, I remember at first really admiring this guy because, and I still do, he's absolutely an incredible actor. He played Malvolio, and I've never seen anyone just capture the attention of the audience with that role like that before. But learning that
and this was also an era where like you couldn't just hop on Skype,
Absolutely. But learning that he was a father and had such remote access, such distance from his own children, I thought, wow, that's a massive sacrifice to get paid not that much to do Shakespeare in the Park.
Right. I mean, it's the same thing for people who decide to do the fair circuit, the Ren Fair circuit,
Absolutely. Or for people who tour as musicians.
Or carnies.
For anyone. Let's talk about the carnies, Nick.
No, I don't think we talk enough about the carnies.
And they don't even get the glory. They don't even get to carve their name.
Yeah.
Who knows what motivates them? We know, actually, it's drugs. But
it's meth.
For the performers, even the ones who achieve this stardom, who get to carve their name in Glory Row, the sacrifices that are made are tremendous.
Yeah.
And so this is a huge question. Is it really worth the time it takes to carve your name down on Glory Row?
But it's different for every person, To some, a sacrifice like that is totally justifiable, and to some, it's not even necessarily a sacrifice to them.
They didn't even want kids anyway.
I mean, it's highly possible.
Sure.
To have 3 kids in 3 different locations with 3 different people, I'm leaning toward accident on that.
Right, but whether it's intentional or not, the emotional pull of that while you're on the road takes a toll. Unless you're a troll living in a hole, befriended by a mole,
who often takes strolls while eating rolls.
Come back to our other podcast, Risky Rhymes.
I was trying to think of something. I knew you'd try to. But you jump off feet first without looking down. I wait.
Accurate. That's right. That's why we make a good pair.
That's right. Because I'm holding the rope.
I jump and you're like, wait, catch this rope. Where's your harness? So, Nick, and at the risk of speaking about my personal feelings on this matter, I'm going to speak about my personal feelings on this matter. And that is that I have, as you know, long pursued the career of being a performer and I have at various points had more or less success with it. And I'm now in a period of my life where I am learning how to pursue that while also gaining more stability.
Yeah.
And what I'm realizing is that at this period in my life, I don't want to pursue, trying to be a performer full time, because it's a stupid existence, in my opinion, for me, because you can't have any reliable schedule. You can't have a family. You can't have normal relationships. You can't get your hair cut in the same place,
Yeah. You can't set roots.
You can't set roots.
You are a potted plant.
With no pot.
With no pot.
You're a plant.
Just a plant. You're a tumbleweed.
You're a dead-
Ooh, you're a tumbleweed.
Oh, there it is. Finally got back to that classic metaphor. And as they say, a tumbleweed grows no moss.
Yep.
I guess the point here, Nick, is that I think that this song is a beautiful and complex representation of the difficult issue which one of the difficult issues that professional performers face in their careers.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. It's and you can I think there's enough vagary here that you can kind of interpret how Ian's trying to present it.
Yes.
And maybe that is, and most likely that's totally intentional. It's a lot like the guy who decides to sacrifice things to go on tour. It's up to him to decide what that sacrifice is, and it's up to each listener of this song to determine who's making the sacrifice and who is willing to settle on something that is better for them, whether it's pursuing being on Glory Row, having their name up in lights, or wearing the pair of shoes that is work shoes to go sit in an office, or a pair of boots to go out and work construction,
Yeah. And I think that what's brilliant about this song, as with so many of Ian's writing, is that it presents us this metaphor, which on the face of it seems to be about the world of Broadway or the world of the West End. But it makes it so relatable, because everyone, whether they pursue performance or not, has to deal with this issue. Do you chase glory? Do you chase what's shiny and what feels like it's really important? Or not? What's the cost? What's the cost of having, quote unquote, your name in lights?
Yeah. And just to get even more convoluted, like, it's up to every person to determine what their glory is, too.
Exactly.
It's easy to kind of lump and just say, well, we can specify for this example that celebrity and being in the spotlight, being in the limelight is the glory here. But maybe you can tweak it a little bit. Maybe that's what that different pair of shoes metaphor, I guess, would be, is you get to determine. Don't let anyone else tell you what your glory is.
Right.
And you wear shoes appropriate for that.
You wear shoes.
And you know what? Don't wear shoes.
Or don't wear shoes. Yeah. But if you're going to go into a public bathroom, please wear shoes.
Highly recommended.
Highly recommended. I also love about this song, Nick, that he, meaning Ian, doesn't ever give his direct opinion about these things.
Right.
He says, would you be the star of ages to light your own way at night?
Mm-hmm.
How did you get to be who you are? Will your children share the blame? Is it really worth the time? He poses questions.
Would you be the star of ages to light your own way at night? How did you get to be who you are? Will your children share the blame? Is it really worth the time it takes to carve your name?
He says, here's what's possible. Do you want it?
He's using rhetorical device.
And you know, Nick, if there's one thing that I like slightly less than tapestries, it's rhetorical device.
I can dig some rhetorical device. And I think, as silly as we make it sound sometimes, I think it is safe to say that Ian is one hell of a rhetorician.
Oh, indeed.
With everything.
All seriousness, front and center, he really is, and that's why his songs are so intriguing, and that's why there's a podcast about them.
We should listen to that. It might help us in our research. I've got nothing else for Glory Row, Omen. Do you?
I have not.
Okay. I think we should wrap it up here then, because otherwise it's just us babbling more.
Nick, what are we listening to next week?
Next week, we have a bit of a heavier number. We have Saturation.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh, a one that's less easy to define, perhaps.
Yeah. But no doubt we will bumble through that as well.
I'm sure we will, unless someone stops us. Please, for the love of God, stop us.
Somebody stop us.
We have this podcast, but at what cost? Well, until next week, dear listeners, if you want to write your name up in bright stars, you can do so by sending us a 5-star rating of our podcast. You can write your name in the history of positive reviews by attaching your name to the fame machine that is Talk Tull to Me in a review on iTunes, not Spotify, but some of the other ones. Or just send us an email.
Help us attain placement upon Glory Row with those reviews and those 5-star ratings.
Some things fade, Nick, but Talk Tull to Me will be on the internet forever.
Yes, we've done this to ourselves. Until next week, I am Nick McGill.
I am Omen Sade.
Sade. We are Feckless Momes.
And this is Talk Tull to Me.
Me,
Tull to me. Tull to me.
Omen.
Yes, Nick.
Tapestry. Noun.
Yes.
A fabric
Okay.
on which colored threads of wool, silk, gold, or silver are fixed to produce a pattern. Late 14th century, tapestre, from Old French tapisserie, which means tapestry from the 14th century,
Right.
from tapisser, to cover with heavy fabric,
Oh, yes.
from tapis, heavy fabric or carpet, from
Oh, yeah.
tapis, carpet or floor covering from the 12th century, from the vulgar Latin tapetium, from Byzantine Greek tapetion, from classical Greek diminutive of tapes, the genitive of tapetos, which is heavy fabric, carpet or rug,
So heavy.
which comes from an Iranian source compared to the Persian taftan of to turn or twist, which is from the Proto-Indo-European temp, to stretch. The first figurative use was recorded in the 1580s. And finally, from Talk Tull to Me, it is a proud member of the Feckless Momes audio network.
Bravo. Bravo. Well done.